As I was saying, it's an innovative material designed to mimic the properties of glass, and it shatters into harmless fragments when broken. Typical application here, this is our cash cow. It's flat panels made from Safeglass. This is covering a hammer box on a train. And this is another hammer box on another train, French train. And so on. As I say, this is our cash cow product. And what it does is this: when you wish to escape from a train or wish to get hold of one of these tools, then you break it by hand. And that's Safeglass. I'll pass that around later so you can try and cut yourself with it. But it doesn't hold an edge because it's a polymer. It looks like glass, feels like glass. To all intents and purposes, it's glass apart from it's a polymer, even with the name Safeglass. So that's what we manufacture. That's what we make. These are breakable parts that require one break and never used again. In this case, it uses a telltale. If the switch on the right, picture on the right, if that switch is operated, it breaks that bar, and it tells the maintenance staff that that particular circuit isn't working. It used to be made out of real glass, but there was a large number of accidents and cuts for members of staff and also for the public. This is a one-use syringe. The idea here is that after you've used the syringe, the metal part is retracted into the body and is after that safe to dispose of. And the part that allows it to retract into the body is a break Safeglass part. It's the very small parts below the syringe. These are the breakable parts. Obviously, we've seen all over the place fire alarms. Traditionally, the float glass would be used in these, and it's slowly being replaced by Safeglass. I should tell you that 70% of the UK rail industry uses Safeglass. France is catching up. We manufacture and supply all over Europe to Bombardier, Siemens, and Alstom, who are the main train builders there, and also Daimler, Mercedes, Alexander Bus in Scotland, and they make double-decker buses and single-decker buses, and that is our main market sector, is the transport. Now, I was asked to speak on innovation today. Now, this is, when I thought about it, it's more difficult than you would think because it's a vast area. And generally, businesses are not that keen on innovation because it costs money, and businesses are really in the business of making money. However, most businesses recognize that to sustain revenues, they have to make improvements in their products and processes, and so they're quite happy to do that, unless, of course, they have difficult shareholders. But mostly you can persuade these shareholders that your innovations are going to make them more money, and even if they don't believe you, you can usually persuade them to part with their cash. When I looked at the whole subject of innovation, I wrote this formula here, and I came up with this idea that problems plus their solution or their innovation, the invention if you like, equals sales. You could also substitute that word sales for money, obviously, but you could substitute that word as improvements in production or better sustainability. The problem being solved can make you money, and that's what we do in business. So the other part of this equation, the part I'd like to talk to today, I'd like to home in on this development costs part. How do you handle development costs when you're in business trying to make money, when R&D is going to cost you money? Well, there's like a few strategies one might use. Two basic types of businesses in the world. There's established businesses and there's startup businesses. Now startup businesses, young businesses, they generally don't have very much money. Established businesses, they've usually got some money, but that doesn't mean they want to spend it. And they want to spend as little as possible. If you don't have any money, and particularly it can cost hundreds of thousands of rupees to develop your invention. Where do you get the money? Well, if you're established, you could get it from your own company funds or your investors. You could try going to the banks, and unfortunately, because you're a startup business and you're in the high risk category, they're unlikely to lend it to you. So you can cross them off your list, and they don't have any to lend at the moment anyway. Private investors, yes, there's a potential there, but you will have to give quite a large equity away in your company if you go down that route. Early sales is the one that we use, and is the one that I would suggest any new business or small business to get involved in. And ladies and gentlemen, it is all about sales. In order to sustain your innovations, you need to make sales. I stole this sort of a business analogy from a software friend of mine, and this is what they do. They produce, for example, Word version 3, as we all know, and they did this Microsoft did this in 1988 or something when they brought out the first version. And now we're at Microsoft Word version 2007. Yeah. It was us that sorted out their problems in terms of debugging. It was us that developed their products for them. They brought a product to market early, and then just allowed the market to develop it. And that's a great way to innovate. Now, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, if he had gone straight to trying to invent the mobile phone 100 years ago, he would have totally failed. And unfortunately, it has to be said that a very large number of new companies fail for this very reason. They get their cash in, cash out burn calculations wrong. I'm sure Colin would tell you the same is true in universities and the spin-out universities. In the UK, 9 out of 10 start-up companies fail in the first 2 years. And a big part of this is getting their development wrong. Many inventors are engineers, and they often lack the business acumen to bring their products to market. And certainly universities fall into that trap as well. So, but it is very important to innovate, and in the UK we're lucky we do have a large support network to help us overcome these problems, and the Polymer Innovation Network are one of these organisations, as are the BPF. So, early to sales. Here is the Safeglass story. Now, as I said before, when I was thinking about what I was going to say, it's a very large subject, so I picked the key area of business here. And the other thing I didn't really want to do was discuss our innovation, because it's actually quite embarrassing for most businesses, because things go wrong all the time. The only way you can innovate is if you make lots of mistakes and lots of silly things. So for one day only, I'm going to reveal all the dodgy things, all the problems, all the mistakes that we made. One day, Matthew.
It's going on the web.
It's not going on the web. So this is day one, practically. This is my kitchen at home in 1996, which is when Safeglass Europe was started. And yes, that is a food processor. And the white stuff is not what you're thinking. It's polymer. I'm not sure which polymer it is, but